Whether you know it or not, there's a profound movement that is happening across the tech and transportation sectors to move the world away from fossil fuels. We've reported out some of the ways that the movement is already happening, from insurance companies that insure the various aspects of the fossil fuel industry to several of the major oil producers themselves. The handwriting's on the wall, so to speak. The fact that climate change is real, I'm going to say that again. Let me wander from the script for a minute. Climate change is real and has potentially hazardous outcomes for the planet in the here and now. Texas, Derecho, and Iowa, these weather situations are going to get more frequent and be worse than they normally would have been.
Yeah, I mean,
Puerto Rico,
go down
Florida,
the list.
On and on. As well as the years to come are pushing the effort forward. And we're going to report here about one community's unique approach to move that conversation forward. You want to remember this city, Petaluma, California. Petaluma, California. A city of 61,000 residents, 15 square miles in size, in the North Bay area of the San Francisco Bay Area. So just north of San Francisco. Is become the first city in the United States of America to permanently halt the construction of new gas stations. The legislation will also outlaw new pumps at existing stations and streamline the process for adding more EV infrastructure like electric charging bays and hydrogen fuel cell facilities. This new prohibition is part of Petaluma's plan to completely phase out carbon emissions by 2030. That's in less now than 9 years. Other environmental groups are pushing for a ban in this entire county, which is Sonoma County, which includes Petaluma and 8 other cities. Now, let me also preface this before I get a bunch of hate mail. There are 16 fuel stations in Petaluma within the city limits.
15 square miles.
Yes. They've already deduced, they did a study that there is at least a gas station within 5 minutes of either existing residential buildings or even those that are planned for the future.
Yeah, there's enough.
So it's not as if they're like banishing them and there's, it's going to be hard to get gas. No, that's not it at all. They've already done the research. They know there's enough. They don't feel that in this world and where we're going, that perpetuating additional facilities makes any sense. And I'm going to get to that part in a moment. Put that under your hat. It's called a petroleum brownfield site. And we'll talk about the EPA there in a minute. They want to move away from fossil fuels and make it easy as possible to do that. They want to add electric vehicle chargers and create another source of fueling that people can use. So they want to promote that. And before people get excited, 121 years ago, there were no chains of gas stations. There were no Pilot stations, Love's. You pick your favorite chain. Gulf, Amoco, BP, Texaco. None of these chains existed 120 years ago at the dawn of the automobile. They all came in. They came in later. The biggest crude oil strike didn't happened 120 years ago. That was Spindletop in Texas in 1901. So I don't understand why people are getting all bent out of shape now. We're going through an evolution, just like we did then.
People don't like change, Ken.
You know what? Get over it. At the speed of our technology and everything else around us has changed.
The times are changing.
I dare folks who are against change. Okay, how many of you folks still use 8-track? A rotary telephone.
Or even CD players.
Hey, now. Hey, you can still get them in cars.
Or Zooms.
Leave me alone.
Zoom, whatever.
Hey, whatever works. If you think this is not an issue, according to the EPA, there are 450,000 what they call brownfield sites. About half of those are what they call impacted by petroleum, much of it from leaking underground storage tanks at old gas stations. At least in our state, When a gas station closes legally, if they're closed within 30 days, they're supposed to dig those up.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't always happen, but they're supposed to.
Interesting.
The EPA has even gone as far as provide funds for what they call low-risk sites to provide money for these sites that can be cleaned up locally, to clean them up locally. The really nasty sites, the government has to get involved. So Petaluma is just the tip of the spear. There are other cities around the country, and in fact in North America, looking at doing the same thing. And they're hoping to make this a movement.
Well, in Iowa, I know off of one of the exits to Altoona, there is 4 gas stations on each corner, right? Spitting distance.
Yeah. And I think the number across the country at one time we had it figured was 116,000.
Gas stations.
Yeah. In the United States of America. Yeah, a few stations.
Do you think most new gas stations, like I know they're building one on the south side of Des Moines, will they have, are most of them considering electric charging now? You're going to say no, aren't you?
That's cute.
That's depressing.
Were they legally required to do it? No. And I think what's going to happen, unless they've partnered with an outfit like either Electrify America or ChargePoint, or even Tesla, probably not. Now, near my house, there are Tesla superchargers at the convenience store, just off the interstate, which I thought was incredibly neat. Also in our market area, there's a set of Tesla superchargers at one grocery store in one of the western suburbs. I think until we get to fast charging uniformly for all vehicles, I think that's when you're really going to start to see that. Mm-hmm. And we're just not there yet. And being more rural than urban, it's going to take a little while, a little longer to get a higher penetration of what we really need. And it will be years before we start to get at any rate to replace like the number of gas stations that we have right now.
Yeah.
But it's coming and it's happening. And remember, Electrify America has to spend $500 million for the last 4 years to do just that, to build a charging infrastructure in the United States. And that was court ordered.